Welcome to Search Talk Live with search engine optimization and marketing experts Robert O'Haver and Caleb McKelvin, powered by the Robert Palmer family of companies.
Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Search Talk Live. With me today is Caleb McKelvin. Caleb, how's it going?
Oh, man, it's going good. Robert, we are back for another awesome show. I'm really excited about the guests we have today.
Yeah.
I think our listeners are going to learn a ton, and it's something they really can use to enhance their brand, enhance their business, and have some fun.
Absolutely. I mean, just to give you a little deep background on what we're talking about today is how to be successful on YouTube.
Yeah.
How to be not just successful, but how to pass that credibility. How to engage with your customers or just people that are interested in what you have on your videos.
Right. YouTube can be a very powerful platform if you use it correctly, and the challenge is actually using it correctly and making the time, the effort, staying consistent with it. And our guest today is awesome at it. He's one of the pros, and I'm really excited to pick his brain.
Yeah, and I think he spends a majority of his time teaching YouTubers.
Yeah.
And everyone how to be successful on YouTube, how to grow your audience. In fact, he is certified by YouTube on audience growth. And with us today, we have Tim Schmoyer. Tim, how's it going?
Hey guys, thanks for having me. It's going well.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, we are super excited to have you on. I like I said before we got started, I've listened to just about every one of your videos trying to grow my channel.
Right.
And I have used 99%, well, let's go back, 90% of everything you've told me, which I
wish.
Is
it working?
Yeah, absolutely. My
okay,
channel,
good.
I'm about 800 and almost 900 people now.
Yeah. Growing pretty well.
In about 6 months, which is fantastic. But
yeah.
Awesome. Good for you, man.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes. How did you get started?
On YouTube.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. How I actually get started. That's a different conversation.
Yeah.
We just had twin girls, so that's where my mind's at right now.
Oh, hey, congratulations.
Wow.
Yeah, thank you. Last week, they're 1 week old now, so identical twin girls.
Oh, man. Yeah, you got a lot on your mind then.
Well, you got a pretty big family, don't you?
Yes, this will give us 6 kids ages 6 and under, and 4 kids ages 2 and under. So it's a little ridiculous right now.
Yeah, I'm the youngest of 5, so I come from a big family. I'm sure my parents know your pain.
So so people saying they don't have time for videos you can't throw that out there.
Well, I have a little bit, right? But yeah, so it was March 2nd, 2006 is when I uploaded my very first video to YouTube, and I was just testing it out. I was like, oh, what's this new platform, YouTube? I heard about it. I was blogging a little bit at the time. Things like WordPress 1.5 was the version I was using then. And I uploaded a little 30-second video, hooked up my 8mm camera, and called it test video. And just, I can tell a lot of creative juice went into this video. I just uploaded it and was like, just try out this process. Maybe it might be a fun way to share like stuff with friends and family that are back home. I was in graduate school at the time. And so this was like pre-Facebook days, and I was using my blog mostly to communicate the way we use Facebook today, but with family and friends, and thought video might be a good way to do that as well.
Yeah.
And so me and my girlfriend, we started just making little videos together when we would go out on dates and stuff, us going to the movies, going to the park, going out to eat, whatever. And today we call it vlogging, but back then, like, that wasn't a thing. That wasn't a word. It was just us making little videos. And fortunately, a lot of them were taken down because no one thought twice about using copyrighted music back then. So I've lost a lot of them. Some of them are still up there, but we just kept going. Everything from like we got engaged, our engagement videos on there, and then getting married, and then our honeymoon, and then our first real job, our first house, and just everything. We just kept making videos together. And today, I think, I put myself on the spot. It's over 1,000 videos now on that channel.
Wow.
And it's reaching millions of people and every month, and it's just been awesome to see how that's grown. And really what happened, the switch when I got into YouTube full time is I was a youth and family worker at the time. And I started noticing that, like, man, I could work with like maybe 100 kids every week and their families through my job. But I started noticing that what was happening on YouTube, we were actually reaching, like I said, like 1 million people. I was like, wow. And the results and the fruit and the reward and everything that was coming out of that wasn't any less significant as far as like life change people are having than it was in what I was doing in my real job. And so I was like, I don't really know what's going on here, but I want this to be a thing.
Yeah.
You know? So long story really short, I eventually became a full-time blogger. The blog that I was writing mostly as Facebook at the beginning became my full-time income in the youth and family niche. And so I did that for a few years. And then but I was doing a lot of the whole speaking, writing, traveling thing, and wanted a quick off switch to that. So make a long story really short is that I know I said that like 3 times now, but I decided I'm just going to go to YouTube. Then I don't have to travel as much. I can still talk to people. I can still have the presence that I want, kind of in their lives. And so I switched to YouTube and made that my full-time gig. And it's been my full-time thing now for almost 3 years now. I forget.
Well, I see on Video Creators you had an anniversary January 2nd. When you joined,
yeah, that's when I created the channel. Yeah, I didn't launch it until like February, but and then it took me 6 months to make it my full-time income. But I was like, all right, I got 6 months here, boom, let's do it. And after 6 months, I had about 3,000 subscribers and was generating 5 figures. So I made it work.
That's incredible.
Very nice.
5 figures a month. I mean, not like a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 6 figures a year. Yeah.
So, you've grown that channel up to 133,000 subscribers, and you get over 8 million views a month. Or is that total?
No, that's 8 million total on that channel, yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So, I guess this is a question you probably get asked a lot. At what point can you say, I'm going to go full-time with, at what point can you make enough money on YouTube to say, okay, I want to do this full-time?
It depends on how much money you need, and it depends on what your goals are for the channel and your audience. The quickest and most predictable way to do it is to have a business model wrapped around the audience that you're developing.
Right.
So it's not just about AdSense, which is what a lot of YouTubers do and think. They're like, oh, it's my job to give YouTube awesome videos, and it's their job to make sure I get paid enough money. Well, no, it's their job to give you a nice platform that you can use to build an audience and make money from, but it's your job to make the economics work.
Yeah.
So I had on my family channel, I didn't really have as much of a business model. We're actually, honestly, it's always been a side gig for us, and so my wife and I are kind of talking about how do we take that off as a side gig and start wrapping a business model around that too.
Yeah.
But,
right.
But video creators, after I was working at Real SEO, doing their YouTube channel for a while, training creators through them, and then they sold to another company, and so then I went off on my own and started Video Creators, and
that was early last year, right?
No,
year before last.
That was like 2 years ago, and I knew the acquisition was inevitable and it was coming, and so that's right around when I started Video Creators in 2013.
Gotcha.
So I was like, I know this is coming. I better start preparing. So I did, and then I just launched off onto that. Nice. But just because I wanted other people to have the same experience I was, like online video is such a powerful platform to communicate a message that can really reach people and change lives. I mean, I know we're doing a podcast here. I got nothing against podcasts, obviously, but I think video has some unique attributes to it that make it totally different. Like you can actually look into someone's eyes, so to speak, and make like a human connection with them. Yeah. You can actually not just talk about something, but you can show them. You can make them feel like they're hanging out with you, not just listening to you. You can do that in podcasts and stuff too. But with online video, though, I think there's just like this unique opportunity to build a really strong human connection with somebody, to show emotion, to show body language, like all these types of things. And it really has a really powerful, opportunity to change someone's life. And that's what I'm all about. And I love training other people to have that experience also. Yeah,
and you're really good on camera. Because, I've watched, like I said, a majority of your videos. And you seem to be more personable with people, even though you're talking to the camera. It feels like you're talking to us, as a viewer.
Yeah.
So
one of the main questions I have is for those that are maybe timid as far as getting started with YouTube, where it's an individual or a small business. I know my wife is kind of big into the DIY things, and she's really creative and kind of wants to get started on YouTube, but she just doesn't know how to get started, where to start, maybe how to create a plan. If you're talking to somebody that wants to get started, has that ambition but not sure where to start, what would you say to him? How would you guide him, or what advice might you give to him?
There's two ways to approach it, and it kind of depends on the person, depending on who you are.
Yeah.
Either way could work. The first way, and this is the way I tend to lean personally, is that let's have a plan, let's have a strategy. Who's the target audience? What's the value proposition of our channel? If you're already a small business owner, you should already have those things wrapped up into your business model anyway. So you kind of ahead of the curve there. But just to have that strategy of who we're reaching and what value do we want to deliver, how do we communicate that value, how do we pitch it, then what's the content strategy for how we deliver that value on an ongoing, regular basis. For me, I like having the whole strategy laid out and then executing it, right? Mm-hmm. Other people, though, and that can be a great way to do it, but there's nothing wrong with the other side, which is also can be very helpful, and that's people like, you know what? My goal right now isn't to get massive views. It's not to have all this nice slick stuff worked out. It's just I want to start feeling comfortable with the process of making videos, period.
Right. Yeah, right.
And so for them, just take out your iPhone, start shooting, talking to it. There's so many things that you'll learn and so much experience you'll get just by starting. And then as you start feeling comfortable on camera, you feel like you got the editing process down, then let's start investing into a strategy. After you've kind of worked out the mistakes, you've kind of figured out, is this for you or not? Those types of things. So either way is totally fine.
Right.
Yeah. Tim, I thought I was that person that says, oh, I'm going to make a YouTube channel and but man, once you get into it, the editing takes forever. You have to make sure the audio's good, the lighting's good, and I learned a lot of that from you, especially the lighting part. I love that video because that
gotta shave before you go on camera.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Man, I got to shower this week.
And then, oh man, my hair was standing up when I did the video. It's just like,
yeah. Or the worst is when you got one of those ear hairs sticking straight out.
Yeah.
Hashtag experience. Right there.
A lot of people, I have learned to. Because of the editing time, I was doing blue screen and all that stuff, and I finally just, after watching your video, I was like, I just get a white background, shoot it that way. Then I don't have to do any chroma key or anything like that. So I was like, this is cut it down. But
people often think that when they think about video, the main thing they have to compare it to is television, which is not totally, I shouldn't say, that's not fair, but it's not a very good starting point. Because when you think about television, everyone's thinking high production value. They're thinking, all this fancy gear and equipment, expensive stuff, time, energy. But on YouTube, there's people with nothing more than a webcam attracting audiences larger than what the Super Bowl, brings.
Right.
So it's really not about the production value as much as it's about the actual content value, right? And that's really important. So if you're delivering really good value in the content, people are very forgiving of shaky, hand cameras and things like that if the actual content is valuable to them. And that value could range anywhere from a relational value, they feel like they're hanging out with you, they feel like they're getting to know you. It could be an information value, which is the one I tend to give on the video creators. There's a lot of different ways to deliver value, but that's more important than how good your production is.
Yeah.
Now, do you think it's still possible for someone to become some of these top YouTubers that are out there? Do you think that's still possible?
Oh yeah, totally.
Okay.
Are you thinking because there's too much noise or something?
Well, yeah, for instance, a PewDiePie or any of those other people.
It seems just extremely competitive.
Oh yeah, it's competitive, but that's the nice thing about YouTube is that there's also, so many people watching that there's an audience for everyone out there.
Right. Yeah.
So, I have friends who went from, let me put it this way. Most people, the way the growth graph looks over time is not a straight upward line, which is what everyone hopes it is.
Right.
It's usually a year or two of being pretty flat, maybe 3 years of being pretty flat. just because there's so much to learn, there's so much to figure out, like not just in the mechanics of how YouTube works, but also you got to find your own voice. How do you work best? How do you communicate best on camera? There's just a lot of things to learn and figure out. There's probably a lot of connections and people to network with and things like that as well. But then I've seen usually after, it's not always a year, it's not always 3 years. It just takes some time. Those are just arbitrary numbers, but it does take a little bit of time, and then the growth curve starts to go up, assuming that you have these general principles of place of, who you're targeting, what the value is you're trying to deliver, you're delivering that value consistently and predictably, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's one thing I learned from your channel too, is being consistent and do your posts on certain days. So people are consistently coming back at that same interval.
Right, so they know every Tuesday I go to Tim's channel, I sit down with my lunch in front of my desk, and I catch up on his latest video. You want people to make your channel part of their weekly rhythm, just like television shows do. Yeah.
So one of the interesting things, and kind of one of the things that I want to know about, is being officially certified by YouTube. So how is that? How did that come about? And, what does that actually mean?
That's a good question. I don't really know what it actually means. So the story is back YouTube wanted to make the certification program. They haven't ever officially said why. They have lots of certification programs now.
Yeah.
Kind of knowing what was going on behind the scenes, I think there's a lot of YouTube people popping up that were kind of maybe gray hat to black. And so they're like, let's give not our stamp of approval, not that we're endorsing them or anything, but just kind of it'll be best for our platform if there's a good way for people to know, not who's legit. That sounds bad, but you know what I mean? Just there's plenty of legit people who aren't certified. But there was only, back then it was a few years ago, there's only a few of us, and that they personally invited, flew out to their headquarters at YouTube, went through a few days of training, and it was awesome. We got a lot of Q&A with the direct people who, product managers and stuff who are working on these projects and stuff, and then you take a test at the end. And if you pass the test, then you're certified. And then you have to become recertified every year too, which now it's just an online video series that you go through and take a objective test. So
is that something you apply for, or what is that?
It's invite only. At least it was invite only. But I've been seeing a lot of people getting certified. I'm like, how did you get it? So I'm sure. But I think it's anyone who's kind of working in the industry in some way. They've kind of whitelisted some companies like YouTube networks or different agencies that they can just send any of their employees through as long as they have an official email address from the company, that type of thing they can get through. So I think it's kind of they've opened it up a lot more than it used to.
Gotcha.
If you are just tuning in with us, you are listening to Search Talk Live, of course, with Robert O'Haver and Caleb McKelvin, where we're talking about everything digital marketing, social media, today YouTube. But Search Talk Live is brought to you by the Robert Palmer family of companies. You can go to robertpalmercompanies.com, see a lot of awesome stuff. They have a wide range of companies to help meet many of your needs. So if you visit robertpalmercompanies.com, you can check that out. Definitely appreciate their support as we enter 2016. But if you're just tuning in, we are with Tim Schmoyer. Is that how you pronounce it, Schmoyer?
Yeah, good job.
Very nice. Tim Schmoyer, who is a certified by YouTube in audience growth, has a lot of awesome channels, and is with videocreators.com, correct?
Yep, that's my company.
Very nice. Videocreators.com, something to check out, especially if you are wanting to get into the YouTube industry or just learn more about the platform itself. So we definitely appreciate you joining us today.
Yeah,
now, I understand that you, I was looking, and it's actually a book I'm interested in, The Secret to Building Your YouTube Audience.
What's the secret?
The secret. What is the secret? But this book, and
buy the book.
Right. So you
That's
have
a free book, actually. That one's free.
Oh, very nice. I definitely, it's something I'm going to check out. I definitely think if you are listening, you definitely need to check it out. But you have a couple more, or one more. Is that correct?
Yeah, I have another book called 30 Days to a Better YouTube Channel, which is kind of like a step-by-step process you go through every day for 30 days. Each day has like a teaching, it has a task, something you need to do on your channel that day, and then like further resources if you want to take a deep dive into that topic. All to design your channel so it's highly optimized to get subscribers and views. And so that's one. Then I have some other video courses and stuff as well.
Oh, very cool.
Nice. Now, one thing I've noticed that you have adapted to, and with AdSense, you really don't expect to make a lot of money first off the bat.
Oh, you can, as long if you give me massive views to make it work.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And, I mean, I took the money that I made off of my channel and I bought a camera, upgraded to a SLR, so I can have a better quality video stuff. But my point is you're starting to utilize, or you've been utilizing patronage and all that stuff to. Mm-hmm. And how does that work out?
Yeah, Patreon.com is a site where you can set up something for people to just contribute to your channel on a monthly basis, or to your podcast, or to whatever your creative work is, and for people to support the creator that they love and appreciate. And so I have that as part of my business model. It's not, it's not the biggest part by any means, but it's definitely a part. And I love interacting with those people, because those are people who are putting their money where their mouth is. Like they're saying, yes, I want to support you. I value this. Keep going. That type of thing.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
And then you do training classes, correct?
Yeah, online. I speak at a lot of places around the country as well. But I have a course called Video Labs. It's 10 weeks. It's like an intensive college course with me and a small group of about 20 other people, other creators. And we meet live every week, and there's lots of training sessions to watch and homework assignments to do and channels to review and all that type of stuff. But it's the most in-depth, solid training on YouTube audience development that I know of. So I don't say that because it's mine. I just say that honestly. Like I have not seen anything else like it.
Right.
So
and I think it's really cool too, because I see you've gotten the family involved in this too. I mean, I see the wife's doing cooking stuff and the smoothies.
Yeah, and we've been doing a lot more live streaming on there too, which is another great way to connect directly with your audience. I think we haven't committed, but I think we're going to be doing live streaming as a family on our family's channel every Tuesday and Thursday with that audience.
Very cool.
And they're super engaged now because we just had twins. The birth video is up, and the meeting the family for the first time video, and the coming home video. So all of them are just like twins.
Right.
And so it's been cool.
Very cool. Now, when you were first getting started and kind of getting familiar with YouTube and developing your strategy and everything like that, what did you find kind of were the major challenges, or the major challenge throughout the process, and kind of how did you overcome those? Or if somebody does encounter those, kind of what advice would you give them?
Yeah, at the beginning, everything was a challenge because it hadn't been done before. Like YouTube launched in September 20-something, 2005. Yeah. I uploaded my first video a few months later. Like nobody knew anything about YouTube. And that's actually how I kind of got tied to the industry side of YouTube, is that I started asking a lot of those questions, and I started reaching out to the people who at that time were big YouTube stars. And I was like, they were big YouTube stars. I mean, like they had like a few thousand people following.
Right. The big time.
Yeah, they're still super, super accessible. And so sending them an email and getting a response right back wasn't a big deal. In fact, I wrote this really long email to one of them, included my phone number, and then 30 minutes later, he's calling me. Those are really good questions, Tim. I wish I knew the answers to those, but I really like how you're thinking. I never even thought about some of this stuff before. And so then they would put me in touch with someone else. They would put me in touch with and then before long, that's how I ended up at Real SEOs. They're like, we don't know, Tim, but you're asking good questions. How about you go find the answers and let us know what you come up with? I was like, all right. And so then that's how I ended up then sharing that information. I was self-teaching myself. Is that self-teaching? Does that work? Yeah. Teaching myself through trial and error and experimentation and studying other people's channels and having conversations with people who were working around the same things I was. And so Then that's how I started doing that with Real SEO, and now I do it full time, training other creators through my company, and it's been awesome. We get millions of views for us and our clients every month, and it's been really rewarding to see how many people they're all reaching and impacting with really positive messages.
Now, if you,
I don't think I actually answered your question, did I? Now I think about it.
Well, I mean, you did, and basically, but I mean, as far as certain challenges and how somebody would overcome them. I mean, it could either be consistency, staying consistent, developing a strategy, stuff like that. Just for me, kind of one of the things I think about when I'm like, okay, how am I going to get started? What challenges am I? Because I like to plan ahead on what can I foresee as being challenges, and then how am I going to overcome those? Because I like preparation.
Yeah, the biggest challenge I see today is creators who start out, and they usually start with like this really high enthusiasm level. They're super pumped, excited. Like they watch these big YouTubers who make it look so easy, and they're like, "That's all it takes. I can do that."
Right.
And then they start doing it, and they're like, "Oh man!" And after a little while, they're like, "Man, I published 3 videos, and only 5 people have seen each of them. Why?" And or they go longer. I have friends who have been going for 5 years and still aren't getting traction. And I have things to say to them, but that they don't listen. So,
right.
but it's the frustration thing is probably the biggest issue that probably sets in, and people are like, this isn't worth it. Oh, this is too hard. Oh, it's, the juice isn't worth the squeeze, so to speak. And
right.
They kind of get frustrated. So
I can see how it gets frustrating, because I mean, like my channel was creeping, and then it took off for a month, and then it'll creep again, and then it's just
kind of flatline for a minute.
It can get quite discerning sometimes.
Well, there's nothing like creating, like having something that you put a lot of time and effort in, and being really creative and thinking you're going to get a great response, and then you hear crickets chirping on it for a long time. It can be very discouraging.
Well, usually people have like a dream behind it, or a big vision. Like, I want to quit my job, or I want to. Oh, this is an easy way to make money, or something. Whatever the case may be, they have this big vision behind it. And when that vision isn't like being met as quickly as they would like it to, they thought it was going to be a switch, but it's not. It's more like an uphill climb.
Yeah.
And then when they realize that, that's probably the biggest problem. Not a problem, but thing that sets in. They just give up. But those who keep pushing, those who keep learning, those who, if your mission isn't just to make money, it's not just to become popular, and it's not just become like to fulfill some sort of deep-rooted insecurity or something like that.
Right.
But it's actually to like you have a mission that has to do with like reaching people, spreading a message, changing their lives. Like, I found that when people have a different like it's more of a giving type of vision rather than a getting vision, those people are usually the ones who make it, because one, the audience picks up on that, and that's really good for audience development. Sure. But 2, like those people don't really tend to care as much as if they're getting stories of like hundreds of people's lives being changed. They're just motivated by one story once in a while. They're like, oh, this is so totally worth it. And that's what motivates them to keep going. So your motivation and the vision you have plays a big role into that.
Yeah. Okay. So let's say 10 or 15 things, well, actually, let's back up. If you had something to say to a business owner, how important would YouTube be to potentially to a business?
That depends. Yeah, I guess a question I get a lot, and people expect me to say is very, very important.
Right. It is a must.
Right. Yeah.
Depends on your niche.
But I'm not so much of a YouTube fanboy as much as I am of a like, where can I best serve people? That's usually the question that I ask. For me, it's through video. For a while, for me, it was through blogging. For you guys, it's probably podcasting, and so that's the bigger question, I think, is like, where can I serve people the best? Now, there is something to be said for branching out into other channels that gives you access to people you otherwise may not have had access to, and so I personally am kind of going the other direction, is I'm thinking about starting like more of a podcasting and reaching a whole new audience here. I'm also doing more translating my videos and stuff into other languages to reach other audiences. So there's things like that. But the biggest question I think of is, where can I serve people the best? And then when I think about moving into like podcasting space or another space, it's more about can I serve people well here? And I usually test and evaluate it for a little bit first too.
Yeah.
So it can be very important. It can be very fruitful. It can be very positive thing, but it's not for everybody, and it's not like a holy grail or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's good for people like me who has a face for radio, you know.
I think it's like anything that's worth doing in life tends to take time and commitment and dedication. You know?
Right.
Like marriage and family and business and things like that. And YouTube's no different. If you want the results and the rewards it brings, then you invest into it. But it's not like a quick, easy win by any means.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I was going to say a while ago is if you could list off maybe a 10 or 15 most important things for a channel, if for someone wanting to start out and grow an audience, that type of thing.
So top 10 tips for getting started type of thing? Let's see.
To grow a channel. I mean, obviously I don't want to give all the secrets, but...
Yeah, it's all in my ebook. That's free, so it's not even a secret anymore.
Yeah.
It's... so target audience, value prop, those would probably be the top two, I would say, because most people just think their content will perform based on nothing more than the merit of the content, which isn't really a surefire way to make that work. So having that down and communicating that well, three, having not only knowing what it is, but integrating that value and communicating it in all your content and your channel design and header image and channel trailer, all that stuff. Also, I would say having a business model wrapped around the audience is like the best way to know that you're going to generate an income that makes your content sustainable. Otherwise, you do it for a while, but you peter out and gotta focus your attention other places. How many am I up to? Is that 5 now? And let's see. Titles, super important. Thumbnails, also super important, because it doesn't matter how amazing your video is. You could have the most like high professional content value, production value, relational value, all that stuff built in. But if the title and thumbnail aren't that great, no one's going to click it to find out. So crafting good titles, designing engaging thumbnails that work well for mobile, on small screens, on big screens, on televisions, for people who are on gaming consoles and smart TVs. Like, you got to keep all those screen resolutions in mind as you do that. A lot of the best YouTubers spend just as much time crafting their thumbnails and their title as they do on the actual content itself. There's a little behind the scenes tip there for you. So that's like I said, if you have a weak title thumbnail, it doesn't matter how good the video is.
Right.
So what was that, 7 now? Let's see.
I'm not going to hold you to 10.
Yeah,
Okay.
Just kind of a starting out. If you're just tuning in with us, you're listening to Search Talk Live with Robert O'Haver and Caleb McKelvin. We are brought to you by the Robert Palmer family of companies, robertpalmercompanies.com. Definitely go check that out. We are live every Tuesday at 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. Today we are talking about not only digital marketing, but YouTube and how you can use that, get started, or better your strategy if you are currently doing that. And we have one of the social media gurus himself, Mr. Tim Schmoyer. So a lot of great stuff going on today. Tim, how many channels do you actually have as far as YouTube goes?
Have or actively post to?
Actively post to. We'll say that.
Actively post to. Okay. Yeah. 2 that I'm posting to every week. I'm looking through the list right now. We have a few secret channels that we publish to every once in a while. Mm-hmm. We have a good video we think could just game the AdSense system. Not game it, but that could do really well on an AdSense perspective. And so we just upload those to channels that nobody knows about, and we just hope to get views on those. So, but 2 that we're active on every week.
Yeah, okay. And
I personally am. My wife has some that she's on every week as well.
Cool. Now, one of the big things that kind of we preach as far as when you're on social media, when you're, if you're blogging and people are commenting on your article, is really staying engaged with your audience, providing that feedback. If somebody's commenting, you're staying consistent with it. I'm guessing that's something that's also pretty important as far as your YouTube channel as well.
Yes. Again, it depends on what your goals are, who you're reaching, things like that. But if you are especially going after a younger teen, young professional demographic, or like mommy demographic, things like that. Like the younger people, they expect you to be interactive,
right?
And if you're not, it's like, psh, we're out of here, right?
Yeah.
Which is a big difference, again, going back to the difference between television and YouTube, which we could talk a lot about too. But I know television does set a lot of false expectations for YouTube. But that is like something that doesn't even exist on television. That is an expectation on YouTube for sure. So that can look like just replying to comments. After a while, that becomes unsustainable. I forget what I look, but I'm getting several hundred comments a day.
Oh my gosh.
Several thousand. Many thousands a month. So like I literally cannot reply to all of them.
That's hard to scale that.
Yeah. So when you're first getting started, responding to every single one is very important. But then as you get, you have a little bit more volume, the way I do it is I just interact with them in videos or interact with them through live streaming, like I've talked about a little bit. Or, so I'll take one of the questions that got a lot of thumbs up, so a lot of people asked, and I'll just screen capture that and then or screenshot that, and then I'll jump into I'll record a video answering that question. Like, hey guys, really appreciated all the feedback and questions you guys asked in the last video. This is one that a lot of you guys were asking. I think, Jim Bob 321 summarized it the best, and he said this, blah blah blah. I show the comment on screen. Everyone's like, oh, he's listening, he's paying attention to us,
right? Yeah.
And then you just answer that. So it's kind of becomes more of like a collective listening at that point,
right?
But still, like the people who are regularly commenting and interacting, engaging, I still read almost all the comments that are posted within the first day or two. After that, I'm kind of on to the next video. But
yeah,
the ones who are kind of, I used to call them the 301 Club back when YouTube would get stuck at 301 views. Doesn't happen anymore. They fixed that problem. But back then, I would always respond to the 301 Club. And that's what I called them. They knew that, and they'd always refer to themselves to that. So now I need a new name for them. But just like little things like that, cultivate community and connection, things like that.
Right. Very cool. Now, as far as the live streaming goes, have you had a pretty good response and interaction with that, or people responding to that pretty well?
Yeah, it's something I'm experimenting with now. 2016, I want to do a lot more of it because, one, it is a stronger connection with the audience. Unfortunately, it is less, since it's more time sensitive, it's not everyone that would normally want to be there can be there because of, time zones and schedules, things like that.
Right.
But it is a great way to connect, and the other reason I like it is that it's actually like really, it's far less time and energy and cost for me to do that than it is for me to produce a video. Right. And so I'd rather just jump in front of the camera and do it live. And I try right now, like I said, I'm still experimenting a lot with it. I guess I don't really have a good grasp on this yet, but I'm feeling that like, in order to get a good replay value out of it, you got to keep the Hangout or the live stream moving really quickly. So you're not like when you're having a normal conversation, you can repeat yourself a few times, and you can, talk a little, and it feels fine live. Right. But when replay, it's slow. So you kind of gotta like live stream yourself the way that you would edit yourself if you were editing it. So you got to keep it moving. And I'm thinking right now, like no longer than 30 minutes is what I'm going to try with, because I feel like that's enough time where someone might commit to watching it in the background.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's like an hour, they might not just even bother to click.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't have hard stats on any of that, but I'm learning, experimenting more with that.
Have you seen any up or down tick since YouTube Red launched?
As far as revenue is concerned?
Yeah.
I don't know. Let me go check. I mean, I expected that it will. Just some rudimentary napkin math indicates that it's kind of hard for it not to generate more money. My original estimates were 25 times more revenue for creators and YouTube.
Wow.
But those were theoretical at the time. Let me go look here. So, yeah, I don't know if I'll get my actual numbers, but I'm pleased with it. Now that said, if anyone's going to be YouTube Red subscriber, is my audience, right?
Right.
So I'm probably positioned to make a little bit more from it than the average creator, but yeah, it looks like it's going well. Again, I wouldn't bank your business model on it.
Sure.
I don't like anything that someone else has control over, the whole rise or fall of my business. So, but it looks like it's going well.
Good. Yeah, I mean, there was a big panic when it first was announced, and YouTubers weren't sure what to think.
Yeah, let me go through the trajectory here. Just because that's the bigger thing, though. Is it scaling upwards here?
Yeah. How about subscriber base? Have you seen it?
It's scaling upwards.
Nice,
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's not shooting up, but it's over the past 10 weeks. It has week 42 in 2015 is when it launched, apparently, or week 43. It looks like, yeah, 43. Yeah, it's trending upward. So for the past 9 weeks.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and then yeah, obviously titles are very important. Like you have some SEO background, don't you?
Yeah, not like traditional SEO. Well, I mean, I do from my blogging days, but back then SEO was really simple.
Right.
So it's changed a lot. I haven't kept up as much with traditional SEO, but with video SEO, though, I'm pretty on top of that game.
Yeah.
And
So
yeah,
tagging and that stuff. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, video SEO has less to do with titles and tags and descriptions as much, and it has more to do with the actual content itself, like the actual video. Because the way you craft the video is what will hook someone to watch longer or watch more videos. And so the number 2 primary ranking factors on YouTube are the first one is watch time, which is the total number of minutes spent watching that video. Mm-hmm. So if you look at your YouTube analytics, they measure everything in terms of total accumulated watch time.
Gotcha.
And so the more times people spend watching your video, that's the most positive signal to Google that this is a valuable video. People spend a lot of time watching this video. And so they are more likely to rank that and position it in search and related videos if it's getting a lot of watch time. The second thing is session watch time, which is how does this video contribute to a viewer's overall viewing session on YouTube? So one big mistake a lot of marketers and business people make is that they try to take all their YouTube traffic and send it straight to their website, which is terrible for SEO because if your video is successful at that and it successfully ends every viewer's viewing session, that video won't be performing very well for long because YouTube's goal is to keep people watching more videos, seeing more ads, interacting with more content, subscribing to more channels, right? And so they want that to happen. So they watch how your video functions in an overall viewing session. And so there are ways to get people to your website that makes good SEO sense to and business sense to do that, which we can talk about if you want to. But trying to do that every single video, like that's the goal, could actually backfire. So.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah. So those 2 things are really important. And the way you craft your videos, like the way you introduce yourself, the way you open the video, how long your branded intro is, how quickly you get to the value that the viewer clicked to get, all those types of things will determine how much time someone spends watching your video, which will then determine how Google ranks it.
Gotcha. So what in the I mean, is there a magic number on length of time of a video should be? Like,
nope. That's a common question. Yeah. Well, should I make them all short? So I try to get everyone watching the full video. Should I make them long so people will watch more time on it? And there really isn't like an ideal length to it. Depends on the type of content. If you're vlogging, you've got a really strong relational value with your audience. You can get away with 20-minute videos. If you guys remember Coney 2012 that went super viral, that was a half hour, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And then there's other videos that go viral that, or just get a lot of traction that are shorter. The problem with really short videos is that it's really hard to get enough watch time on them to make them rank well when compared to another video that might be longer. It's getting more watch time, delivering more value. So it's not about the length of the video. It's more about how long. Like if you have a 2-minute idea take 2 minutes to share it. Don't try to artificially inflate it to 5, right?
I got you.
Also, don't try to cut it down into 1 either. So take the time that you need to do justice to your content and the value you want to deliver, and then don't take a second longer, basically.
Okay. And on your videos, just curious, I mean, you've been doing it for a while, so you probably don't, but do you script any of it? Do you use the teleprompter or anything like that?
I don't. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just don't, one, because it's more time to set up and tear down and to type it all out. And 2, for me, like, I feel like I've become a little bit too robotic with scripts. And so I kind of just bullet point it a little bit, have an idea in my head of what the main point is I want to make, and then I just kind of blurt it out. And the nice thing about editing is I can cut out everything I don't like later.
Yeah.
Which usually is about 30%. I usually cut out about around that out of the videos.
Yeah. One thing that amazed me is the way, how simple you make it. Because, I mean, you've been in the front of the camera for a long time, but, like, you know, as far as lighting and all that, that was a huge plus for me because, you know, I thought you were in a professional studio or something, but then you broke it down. I was like, he's got a light bulb behind him, and he's got, you know, he's in his basement. Exactly. Yeah. And then I saw the equipment you showed. I mean, all that stuff was helpful because, you know, that helped me go forward with my thing.
Motivated you, like, oh, he's not an expert.
No.
No, seriously, no, like, but just empowering people to show that it's not like a movie production, you know, it's not a television studio, it's a webcam. Think about lighting, like sit in front of the window, like face the window rather than have it behind you, because then it'll just become all black and it'll, you know, but it's just simple things like that. But content value trumps production value.
Yeah, sure. But I mean, you your perception that you give off is you're in a studio, you know?
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, I got some lights and I got a camera, and I've learned a few things about where to position the lights to kind of get the look I want. But all I did was just go to YouTube and watch lighting tutorials. So.
Yep.
Learn from other people who are smarter than me.
Yeah, right. Okay. Well, you got anything else you want to bring up?
No, man, that was a lot of information, a lot of awesome information. I definitely learned a lot, and I'm sure our audience learned a tremendous amount about YouTube and how to use the platform correctly.
Yeah, and if somebody wants to go watch Tim's videos and learn a ton of stuff, you can go to youtube.com, look up Video Creators TV, and there is just tons of information, good information there that Tim is. I can't imagine how many hours you took producing all that stuff. But
the direct link is just youtube.com/video creators. That'll just get you straight there.
Okay. Awesome.
And then you can also, your website is as well,
videocreators.com. Yeah. Right. I spend most of my time on my YouTube channel, but you can go to the website if you want.
Videocreators.com. Yeah. Very good. Well, that was a lot of awesome stuff. I highly suggest that if you're listening, whether you are a beginner or even advanced in YouTube, you check out Video Creators and Tim's work and what he has to offer to help you grow your YouTube channel, engage with your audience, and really better your efforts and your strategy. So we really appreciate you joining us today, Tim. It was a lot of great information and very helpful.
I think what's great about Tim's channel is that he can talk. It doesn't matter what level you're in. If you're a professional expert at YouTube or you're just beginning, it covers everything.
Yep.
He's there.
Got some for everybody.
All levels. But Tim, thank you so much for coming to the show, and we appreciate it. And you can tune in next week to the show every Tuesday at 3:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Yes, sir. Check us out on searchtalklive.com. Make sure you go check out the shows we have past and of course this show and what we have coming up.
Hit us up on Twitter at searchtalklive.com.
Very much. Tim, thanks again. We appreciate it, and hope we can do it again sometime.
Search Talk Live is a presentation of the Robert Palmer family of companies.